Hello, hello. So we're just running a few minutes late, but I wanted to say hello. It's Ariel Serber. This is Secure the Bag. We're going to be talking about um, the presentation and storytelling work that is going to be a big focus for a lot of people next year. Also, just wanted to wish everyone a very happy Festivus celebrating. Hi, Avital.
Hey, sorry. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
So, good morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Great.
we're already live. So I started just
Yeah.
gave a little spiel. So welcome. This is maybe the last one of the year. I've been doing these Secure the Bag lives on LinkedIn and streaming them out, making good, practical, useful content for people and the community, and always it's a two-way street. So we love people's experiences on the topic we're talking about. Today we're going to be talking about presentations and storytelling and all that good stuff, and just how important it is to as a tool for just kind of everything, right? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah. Not just as a tool, but kind of as a way of life and how we show up. And we're asked to be given so much, like we're asked to speak in front of an audience so many times, more times than we actually think. And so the tools we're going to talk about today are really important for all of those areas. I'm Avital. Again, sorry I'm late.
No worries.
I am really excited to be doing this today. And Ariel and I had been talking a lot about what it means to give a good pitch, what it means to give a good presentation, and we thought we would pull this together and talk about it a little today. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk about that. So, well, you know what? Can you tell us about your background and sort of how, and also the work that you're doing into
Yeah,
what makes a good pitch or presentation or all that stuff, like the steps involved with that?
for sure. Well, my background is in software engineering, actually, hilariously. I wrote code for a couple of years, and then one day I decided I didn't want to write the code. I wanted to talk about the code and I wanted to talk to people who were using the code. And so I very quickly transitioned into a role that had me speaking about tech, writing documentation, speaking at conferences around the world until 2020 when COVID hit and there were no conferences.
Right.
And out of the blue, somebody called me and said, Avital, I watched your talk on YouTube. I want you to give a workshop to my engineering team on how to do tech storytelling. Now,
Yeah.
what was interesting about this is that 3 years previous, I gave a tech talk in Austin. It was my first ever talk, and it was so bad. It was really bad. And someone commented on the YouTube, "Is this the worst technical presentation on the internet?" And the
Okay. We
fact
have
that
to
it was
find that
so
link. Is that still on YouTube somewhere?
it still exists on YouTube. I've asked them to unlist it, but I do often
Oh,
post,
no.
like, clips from it, and I'm actually gonna do a reaction video, in the new year, which will be really fun, or maybe a couple reaction
Yeah.
videos. But the reason it was so bad is the reason that is for the same reason that we see every day in presentations that don't do well, and that's because I knew the information. I was pretty personable and charismatic. Like, I never had a stage fright problem or, I always felt comfortable talking to people, and so I said, "Okay, I know the information. Here are some dumb slides that I put together. I'll show up, I'll give my presentation. It's gonna be amazing." And within 5 minutes, like, everyone was on their phones because it wasn't amazing.
Okay. That's a big gap in the market. So I guess that's how you got into people solve that problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so then I spent the next, like, year they had invited me to speak again, so I had to become a really good speaker really quick. And
Okay.
so I spent the next few months kind of watching a lot of talks, going to a lot of conferences, trying to understand what was going on and what made a good presentation and what didn't. And then when, I got that call, I started training engineers on public speaking, and then founders and CTOs, and eventually started working kind of with everyone in a tech company on what it means to give a presentation or a meeting or lead any situation where you have to convince, where you have to teach, where you have to inform, where you have to ask for something across the entire tech company. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, no, 100%. So you gave this quote unquote bad presentation. I mean,
Yes.
I've seen it, but it sounds like you're saying it's objectively.
It was objectively bad. I'll show it to you.
Okay, so fine. We'll have a watch party. So
Great.
everyone's invited. So,
Everyone's invited.
but then you went from not good to doing this around the world and asking people how to do it. So how did you boil all that down to doing it well? Like how did you start doing it well? What did you find was the feedback? Because I feel like the feedback loop has to be there to sort of like signify that it's strengthening somewhere. And I guess the feedback loop is also getting work from it, right? So
yeah, for sure. It is a feedback loop. It's also when you're on a stage or when you're in front of a room and and the presentation's good, like you can tell when people are making eye contact with you. You can tell when people are nodding. And so that's the feedback loop. So how did I get there? How I got there at the time was a lot of trial and error and writing out scripts and working really, really, really hard for a 20-minute presentation. I don't want everyone to work that hard for a 20-minute presentation. So what I've taught kind of boils it down into a bit of a formula, and I like to call it the sandwich.
Okay, so let's talk about it.
Let's talk
Say
about
more.
it. Let's make a sandwich.
Yeah.
So if you were making someone a sandwich, and let's say this person, you were making someone that you liked a sandwich, so you want them to enjoy the sandwich, or they're paying you money, so the sandwich better be good, right? You're not just gonna like, with no preparation, slap some things together, call it a sandwich, and give it to them, right? You're gonna put some work into it. And so the 3 stages of that would be 1, strategy or prepping, 2, making the sandwich, and 3, delivering the sandwich. Like, how are you going to give it to them? How are you going to present it to them? And I found that even though that seems like a lot of things, you can't have a good pitch or presentation if you don't put work into each of those 3 categories. Like if people are skipping the strategy, then and maybe they're riding on charisma, then they're coming in and they're saying a lot of things and they sound lovely. That works really well for a wedding toast because you just want to be funny, but you don't want to give value. You don't want like any deliverables. If you only have like good delivery but no storytelling, if you only have strategy but no storytelling, you're just not going to get anywhere. So let's break it down.
Sure.
So in my strategy portion, I'm asking, what does said person like? What do they enjoy eating? Are they vegan? Do they love meat? Am I going to make them a meat sandwich? Are they gluten-free? Do I have gluten-free bread? What do I have on hand? Like, what am I actually able to give? And it's this combo between what they want and what I want to give them, or what I'm able to give them. And is there anything I'm asking for them? And so when you're strategizing how to deliver your product update, your pitch, your sales demo, any of those situations, you're saying, okay, well, who's the person on the other end? What do they want? What do I want? What do we all want? And how do I ensure that I can deliver what they want and get what I want? Because at the end of the day, it's like we're always trying to get something. And so if I'm not asking those questions, I'm just coming in being like, I want to show you my demo. Like, why am I showing you my demo?
Right.
What's the reason?
Right.
Why have I chosen this demo?
So it sounds like also it's about knowing the audience. And
It's absolutely about knowing the audience.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you know them like, it doesn't mean you know what their favorite color is and what they like to do on the weekends, right? It's about, well, am I trying to sell to them? What's their current solution? Is their current solution working for them? Is it not working for them? Like, who are they in the context of what I'm trying to show them? It's absolutely about knowing your audience. It's about knowing your audience, about knowing what they want, and it's about knowing what you want. Do you want them to then download something? Do you want them to try the demo for 14 days? Like, how do you want them to interact with that thing that you're showing them? Are you asking for resources to an internal team? Why should they give you those resources? Can you prove to them that not having those resources is more expensive than having those resources?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well,
that's the part that you need to be thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone is sort of in like a what's in it for me mode. Like when you're talking to an audience, like out there it's like thinking like, why am I even like, what is this doing here? What am I doing here?
What am I doing
How
here?
is
Why
this
should
gonna
I spend my
help
time here?
me?
Why is this better than reading my email? Yeah, totally. And one of the best tips that I got about public speaking, and this was right after I delivered the terrible, terrible talk, I met with someone who's a great public speaker. He told me, if you're nervous, it's because you're thinking about yourself. But let me tell you a secret. Everybody is also thinking about themselves. So if you can flip the switch and think about them and what they want and what they're going to gain from this, A, you're not going to be nervous. B, they're going to feel that and pay attention. So your presentation is not about you giving an update or just giving a pitch. It's about having some interaction with the other side. You're not
and of value to them that it's worth their while.
Exactly.
And so then what is the second, what, maybe just take a 2-second pause there. So what are the best, are there other tools to, if you kind of don't know the room, how do you learn? Obviously there's got to be a little bit of you got to have a little bit of time to prepare, but what are some of the sort of like, do you speak to the organ event or the pitch competition, or
if you're going to some conference for a keynote, for example, and you don't know who the room is, right? You
you're at
know
the
what
wrong
the
place.
topic No, you know what the topic of the event is a marketing event. So everyone there is interested in marketing. And so what you can do is use storytelling, step 2, we'll get there, to put them in the shoes of a person with a problem, right? Like describe the problem to them. And now they're like, oh yeah, I have that problem too. And then you solve it for them. Like the point about knowing your audience is it's never about I'm just giving a presentation. I'm just giving an update. I'm just giving a demo. It's about them. So if you have no clue who they are, tell them who they are. If you're at a sales conference, they're probably interested in learning how to do sales stuff. Like, and so you frame it like that, and so it's always about, hey, I know you guys are really tired of X, but really excited about Y. Let me show you that. It's about acknowledging the fact that you're doing this for them and not for yourself.
Yeah. And having them come ahead. So then you mentioned storytelling. So obviously storytelling is a huge part of even our day-to-day interactions with people. So how does it apply in this context that we're talking about pitching and presenting?
Yes. So right before we get into that, what we need to know is like, what is the sandwich? What is my talk? What is the value? What is the core? So if this is a meat sandwich, or if this is a cheese sandwich, or if this is a vegetarian sandwich and it's all about the sun-dried tomatoes, then that is the thing that is like the core of what I'm talking about today. It isn't the thing you're opening with. It's at the core. It's at the middle of the sandwich. It's not, the meat doesn't go on the outside of the sandwich, right? And so you're like, okay, then that's my focus. These people are here for sun-dried tomatoes, and that's what I'm going to give them. First, I need to explain to them like why they even want sun-dried tomatoes. I need to think about how I'm putting this sandwich together. So think about the structure of a sandwich. Your breads are always going to match, right? Like it would be very weird if the breads didn't match. Also, if you've got a lot of content in the middle, you need like good hefty bread that'll hold it together. Otherwise, it'll all fall apart. If you've got not that much in the middle, then you can't have that much bread because then it'll feel like a bread sandwich. So you're really thinking about like the structuring of a sandwich when you're putting together your presentation. And you want like that first bite, they're going to taste the bread, they're going to taste the sauce. Sometimes that first bite, you only get bread, and that's fine because there's like a hint of something coming soon. And that's what you're doing with your opening. You're opening in a way that tells the audience, I know there's a problem, or here's the problem, or, here's what you're dealing with right now. Any way that kind of like sparks curiosity. If you're asking for money, right, you could come in and be like, this was our this is what we achieved. These were like this is what we achieved for the past year. Here's what we could achieve in the next year. But we need money, right? So like you're always opening with the thing that's going to spark curiosity. And that's also the thing that you close with at the end. And then you need to think about, okay, here's where it comes to the brain chemistry. Stories work. And people like stories, and we like listening to stories, and we love watching movies and Netflix and all that because it really plays with our brain chemistry. When we're told about a problem, when we're told about a situation that might be difficult to solve, what you're doing is triggering cortisol, you're triggering stress. You want your audience in a slight amount of stress. You want them to feel a little bit at the edge of their seat. If they don't feel at the edge of their seat at the beginning of your presentation, you're probably not going to be able to keep them. And that's why a classic pitch deck is like, start with the problem, right? Even when you're speaking internally to your team, even when you're speaking at a conference, anywhere, there should be a problem you're posing from the beginning. There should always be some sort of stressor. And if you need to make that up because you have no idea who your audience is, make it up. But you're creating a stressor. And then you're thinking of the layering, and then you're like building up. So that's like the vegetables or the things that go around the core of the sandwich. And you're only ever going to the thing that you want, the core, if it's to get money, if it's to deliver an update, if it's to get your team to build a feature, if it's to get your team to use a feature, you're only getting there at the beginning. Because like imagine at the middle, sorry. Because imagine you showed up and you're like, hi, everyone, I need you to start using this feature. Why would anyone care? Why would anyone listen? They've already tuned you out. Oh, it's another thing you need from them. Mm-hmm. But what if instead you could be like, hey, you guys are wasting 40 hours a month. Want to see how you're wasting that?
When you point it out like that, people do know. Yeah. It's like,
yeah. And then because you're wasting that time, you're unable to do X, and you're unable to achieve your deliverables, and you can't achieve your KPIs, and then you might get fired. I don't know. Don't say that.
Yeah. You don't want to be too extreme.
You don't want to be too extreme. You want to create some level of tension. Yeah. I mean, depends what kind of speaker you are. Right? You could be crazy. That's on you. But you do want to create some tension. And then the thing that
we come from the yeshiva world. It's like a real Musar speech. Where it's like, yes. You guys.
And if you don't do it, everything's going to be ruined.
That's like the classic rabbi in yeshiva. That's okay.
I always ask, what's the worst case scenario? Like, what's the worst that would happen? And then dial it back a little bit. You understand? Like, kids die or whatever. Okay, that's not going to happen. So like back up a little and see like where you can take it from the middle ground and be like, okay, here's a problem that's actually real and in our lives.
Yeah. So what's the formula for a good story?
Okay. So you're triggering cortisol, and then a lot of people make the mistake where they introduce themselves at the beginning and like do the agenda at the beginning. That's it. You've already lost the audience. So what you want to do is like trigger cortisol, and depending on the length of the time that you have there, maybe that's like 2-3 minutes. And only then you can introduce yourself. You could be like, and by the way, like I'm Avital, and here's my connection to the topic. I gave this really bad talk in Austin a few years ago, and now I help people do this. And that's relevant now. It wasn't relevant 5 minutes ago. It's relevant after you've posed the problem and people care. And that creates a connection with the audience. It creates oxytocin. And so what we're trying to do is these waves, like being on a high. And once you've triggered oxytocin, you could go back to triggering cortisol, and you're opening more stressors. So you're like, you're like deepening the problem, and then you're dropping dopamine. The brain loves dopamine. Dopamine makes the brain want more dopamine. That's when you're giving solutions to the problem. So it's not a problem. Don't worry, because even though you're wasting 40 hours a month, I know how you can actually save 10 hours a month. So you get 50 hours back. Boom, dopamine. That makes the brain feel good. And so you're always thinking about it.
You mentioned also you're sort of taking them on a journey.
You're taking them on a journey. You're taking them on a journey. And if you want to use the sandwich metaphor, it's like, oh, I don't want the sauce to touch the bread because that's disgusting. But like, so where does the sauce go? And where does the crunchy part go? And maybe I have like pickles on the top and lettuce on the bottom. Like that, if you can like picture that. Like, what should that first bite be like? What should that second bite be like? Think about your speech like that. Think about your presentation like that. Like, what do I want them to experience as we move through this? And that's why I keep saying it's about the audience. It's not about us. It's not about what bullets go on the slide. You're not even on the slides yet. You're just thinking, what experience do I want them to have? The
I'll tell
audience
you,
is your job. Sorry, go on.
I'll tell you, I was in a presentation and the slides were so dense and it was just read off like English class, like one other, and it was like, what do we do? Like everyone was just kind of like, you either train yourself or train others to kind of read the room. People don't know how to read the room.
Want to read the room. That's what I've found with people who don't hire me. People who hire me want to read the room, but most of the time it's hard to read the room, and it requires extra work, and it requires extra focus. And if someone tells me to give this presentation in 48 hours, I don't want to think about doing a good job. The biggest tool, the biggest tool that a founder or a tech leader could use in order to become a better presenter is to watch a recording of themselves giving a presentation.
Okay.
And people are really scared to do that because then they have to confront it. And then it's like, oh, now I see that it sucks and I have to put in work, and putting in the work is hard. But if you realize the results and like what you're able to achieve by giving a good presentation, like we're like walking in this this default mode of how we give presentations. It's like someone asked me to give an update, so I come in with my slides and I give my update, but it's not doing anything. And then we're going to need to do the same presentation in a month because no one listened and no one cared. And like, why do we want to do that? Why not be the person who stands out? Why not be the person that makes people want to do things? Like, oh, hey, I'll do whatever this person wants.
Right. That actually creates results within either an organization and then for yourself as a thought leader and as a sort of professional and credibility and all the rest of that good stuff. I do want to finish the sandwich though. I'm starting to get hungry for lunch too. It's 11:30 here.
The third part of the sandwich is the easy part if you've done parts 1 and 2. And that's the delivery, right? So like, are you going to slap it on one of those like pizza slice paper plates and be like, here's your sandwich? Are you going to wrap it nicely and cut it up and serve it with a drink and some chips? My favorite. That's up to you again. And it comes down to you deciding, do I want to be the person who is unforgettable? And it comes down to you understanding that your slides are just supposed to help you. And so that's usually the part that I put into delivery. You shouldn't be working on slides until you're done with your strategy and with your storytelling. Like, your slides come last. They're there to help you. Do not start working on slides until you've figured out parts 1 and 2. And once you know, like once you have parts 1 and 2, then you're able to write yourself a little script and be like, oh, and then it's my slides, and they're just extra. They're just there for visual. They're just there for graphics. They're just there to like show people a graph of a chart of something.
Yeah. So do you know who Dror Poleg? Do you know that name?
Not sure.
He's like a tech thought leader and presenter. He gave us a talk at IAC, which is Israel American Committee or something. And his was so good, but the slides, just like what you're saying, it kind of all worked together. But it clearly didn't start with the slides. Like the slides came after, and you can kind of see what you're talking about, where the talk and the journey that he was taking people on from A to B to sort of get on his side, or at least understand his point of view. And I think that goes to having a strong strategy of what you're trying to do, which someone was trying to do. So what are sort of the next steps then to because so you've done a good presentation. Do you feel sometimes that founders or others sort of, that's often where people drop the ball?
Yes, but if you worked on your strategy, then you know what you want from them. So like I said, if you're giving a demo, what do you want them to do after the demo? Like, why are you showing this? And because when you have your why, then you're able to say, oh, if I wanted everyone to download something, then after the meeting, I know that I can send a follow-up email and be like, here's the link for the download. And then I can track if they downloaded it. Or if you're at a
Right.
conference and you want them to try a new feature that your company just built, like put up a QR to that feature and make it so that you could track if those people did that, and make it so that you're pulling their email if they scan the QR. Like if you know your strategy, then you know that you did a good job, because you know
Right.
what your why is, you know where you're
Yeah,
even
the
doing.
outcome flows. Good job, because I
Yeah,
don't
and
know
a
what
lot of times what we're doing is
there was no,
we're just informing. Like we're not doing anything here, and I think we need to move away from that. Like I think those need to be an email.
yeah. I mean, no, it was a good talk, and I guess the call to action was, follow him on socials and stuff like that. But
Sure. If that's what you want, like if what you're doing is building credibility for something and it's follow me on socials, then yeah, then track that.
yeah,
Like make sure you can track if people are following you on socials, and that then you have whatever lead magnet available on your socials so that they can then take the next step that you need them to take. But it's about knowing your why, and it's about throughout your presentation, like pointing to that. It's about always like mentioning that thing that you want them to do.
yeah. So how can people get better at communicating their value? Are there any sort of key?
Record
Are
yourself.
there any? Was that record? Yeah.
Record yourself.
Are there any stayaways, like things definitely do?
Definitely don't make your slides before you write your script or some
Okay.
sort of outline. That's like the number one thing I would say. And I've seen already staggering results from leaders that I've worked with who just with that tip have changed everything about the way they present to stakeholders and has made a huge difference for them.
Yeah.
Like
Can you give an
just that.
example or?
Well, people like are coming to me and they're saying, "Can we work on my slides?" And then I'm saying, "What are these slides for?" And we get into
Yeah.
this loop of like trying to understand what the slides are for. And then we realize that it's not even about like fixing the slides, it's that we need to fix the person they're even speaking to. And then they're realizing that like they're asking for the wrong thing. And so all the slides that we were going to edit together don't actually need to exist.
Yeah.
And what we actually need is a different set of slides. So
Right.
that's kind of like what I run into a lot, that it's not about the slides. And we think it's about the slides. We think it's about adding more information, and it's not. It's about clarifying what you're doing there.
Yeah. Ali wrote in, recording your presentation and watching it back is very useful. She remembers how in law school, her law school professor recorded their opening statements in the
Cool.
trial advocacy course so we could improve presentation skills. What do you think? Why do you think recording is such a powerful kind of
Because it's
tool?
so hard to watch yourself. It's
Yeah,
so
so you
hard
sort
to
of have
see
to sit there
yourself.
like Clockwork Orange, like, like with
Exactly.
your eyes.
First of all, you see all your ticks. You see how you're like tugging on your hair, or you have your hands in your
Yeah.
pockets.
What are
And
you
those
talking
are like
about?
small things.
I don't know what you're talking
Sorry?
about. No, I was playing with my hair. It's fine.
Oh. I didn't notice.
No.
Those ticks, and I don't even care about those ticks. Like I work with people on stage presence. I don't care about like if they say or how they stand. It'll come. And then you realize that you're talking slow, you're going in circles. You have no idea what you're even like. Could I listen to my own self? Like when I watch my talk from Austin, I can't listen to myself. When I watch other talks of myself, I love watching them because I worked really hard on them and I think they're great. So like, can you
Yeah.
listen to yourself? Why can't you listen to yourself? Where are the parts that you cringed? Where are the parts that you think everyone was going to fall off? It's so much more valuable than anything else you could be doing.
Yeah. And how do you, so this is asking for a friend, right?
Okay.
How do you watch yourself without being like, oh, I got to shut this off? Asking for a
Hold hands with someone, or watch it
man.
with someone, or just grow up. Not sure.
Yeah.
Have a drink.
All
Have a
right.
drink and watch yourself. It
I
takes
mean,
a while.
obviously,
I would. My last tip would be like, wait 3 weeks. So like you gave a presentation yesterday, you're not sure about it, don't watch it right away. It's like too fresh right now. Just like give it a
Yeah.
couple weeks. That would be my best
Yeah.
tip.
And what about like if people in the audience come up to you and give you feedback, like how much validity do you stake in kind of what people say? Because they're not they're not experts at presenting, but obviously they were in the room and you gave a talk, so they must be in some sort of either ideal customer or ideal user of your product or a potential investor.
I mean, are they being like, are they giving you feedback on your presentation? Like, usually people are like, I really like that. No one's going to tell you they didn't like your presentation. If usually,
right.
here's what I'll say. If people are coming up to you after your presentation, that's a net win all the time. Because if they didn't care about your presentation, because if they didn't listen, they're not coming up to you afterwards. So no matter what they say, that's positive feedback. You just want them to be with you. That's all you want.
Yeah. It doesn't even matter. You're saying it doesn't matter. Like apathy is the worst result, I feel.
Yes,
Apathy
I was on my phone and I walked out as soon as this was over. Bad.
Yeah, I find that. Can we be honest with each other here? We're in like a safe space. Like a lot of panels are kind of like that.
Are very boring.
What's that?
No, go on. Panels are hard. Panels are really hard.
Panels is a whole other level. So how do you? I mean, we don't have much time. I appreciate the time you have, and we've done, but that's a whole other thing. But do you help support people on like before they go on a panel, like? Because you don't control the conversation as much as a pure presentation or even a pitch.
Yeah, I've also moderated panels, and what I've spoken to people about, and I've been on panels, what I've spoken to people about, and I also try to do in real time, is to keep the answers really short. And I tell people, like, you think you need to talk a lot because the person before you talked a lot, but actually, if you're the person with the shorter answers, you'll be a lot more valuable to speak with or to hear from. And I also try to cut people off, like, as soon as there's like a break after they gave their 2-3 sentences, because there's something about panels where people think they need to keep going. And I always tell people, like, as soon as you've given the answer, just like shut it down.
One word I heard in Israel a lot, and I've used it here before, just from my background, is tachlis. So I think
get to the point.
Get to the point. And there's a whole like sort of, series of like how serious or not serious getting to the point can be. But yeah, have a point in mind, I feel like, all the time, so that there's always something that people can take away, because you don't know where they're paying attention to you or not paying attention to you. So I feel like you kind of have to be thinking about what they're listening to in that way.
People will remember the weirdest things. So make sure that you're repeating the most important part. And that's why I say, like, know what sandwich you're making. And if it's a meat sandwich, then like make sure that meat is dominant in the sandwich.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So where people follow you, support your work, or maybe find this Austin tape, the lost tape?
I'm not sharing the lost tape yet. Find me on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of valuable content. And in the new year, I will post a couple reaction videos to the Austin tape, and we can watch it together. But if you want, you could YouTube me and watch the better videos, and those will give you some insight as well.
Of course. Look, everything is a process of going from, I'm teaching my daughter, or she's sort of learning with someone else, but we're also doing driving, right? You don't, or even if you think about like yourself in the kitchen, like maybe you started off and all you were able to do was put, cheese in a couple of pieces of bread. It's like, now I can actually make a full omelet, and I know how to like actually do it and not burn it and not burn the whole house down, and put it in a sandwich. And like, that is good.
That is good. That is great work. And you know what? People love success. Like, people love hearing how we started from the bottom and we got somewhere. So like, share that.
Well, that's like the hero journey, kind of, so you take them on that.
That's a great storytelling anchor.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's tale as old as time, right? So what else are you working on, or should we keep an eye out for any upcoming presentations or talks you're giving?
I'm speaking at Lawrence's luncheon in New York, I believe in February, about storytelling and public speaking, and I'll drop those dates soon. And mostly I'm just working on making content about making sandwiches. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, we're gonna have to do like a series. You're gonna do a series on actual sandwich, like while you're actually making a sandwich.
Yes.
I think that's.
Do you want me to make you a sandwich, Ariel?
Oh man, I'm gonna make myself one. I'm a little far from the city right now, but I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Of course.
Amazing stuff. Thank you, Avital. Thank you, everyone, for coming and
Thank you.
sharing your thoughts in the comments. Please follow us, and you know, we're gonna keep doing these lives and try to add value. Try to be a good resource that's, you know, actually useful. And maybe I'll make a promise to everyone that in 3 weeks I'll rewatch this whole thing and see what I could improve on.
Oh, I should do the same thing too. We could have a watch party.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Talk soon. Have a great day.
Yeah,
Happy
take
holidays,
care. Happy
everyone.
New Year,
Thank
everyone. Yep.
you.
Take
Bye.
care. Thank you again.